I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with a 3-minute cattle market update for Friday, June the 10th, where we're seeing a lot of volatility in the futures market on the cattle like usual, but it's really trading within a narrow range. It's just up and down and up and down, and a lot of that volatility doesn't count because the board doesn't settle there, but it's going maybe 2 or 3 times on each side is steady, up and down and back and forth, and a lot of these technical analysts, they're kind of entertaining to listen to because when it makes a significant jump, like in the morning, it might trip a trigger that they think is a really positive factor that makes think that cattle are going to go to the moon. But what it really does is it trips some sell orders. It makes it go down just as fast as what they thought it was going to go up. And the same thing on the bottom side. But just up and down, but not really doing anything because it's not settling in any big fashion one way or the other. But we have seen some gains the last couple of days. Live cattle futures on the August contract Wednesday was up 272, very positive there. Thursday up just 12 cents to end the day on Thursday at 118.85, and it is closing the gap on June, but June is still a long ways from what cash is trading, so there's still quite a basis there. And these cattle feeders will probably fall victim to that and keep the market from gaining anything on the cash side of things. But feeder cattle futures for August, Wednesday was up $1.92. Thursday was down just 7 cents in the day on Thursday at 147.30. CME feeder cattle index coming out on Thursday through Wednesday sales. Wednesday sales were actually up 32 cents. And it's at 148.65. Real-time index all the way through Thursday's sales was down a little bit for Thursday with 146.70. And we'll see that. We'll talk about that later. Your Thursday sales are some lower than what your Wednesday sales are. But your fat cattle, I have seen a few fat cattle sell this week, and mostly come through on mandatory price reporting because as you can see, the feedlots are not real proud of what they've done, and they're not real apt to answer the phone or call in and let everybody know what they've done. But as positive as everything's been so far this week on the heels of last week's big sharply higher cash trade, they're trading some cattle lower this week, and for I don't know what reason, but they're trading some cattle from 126 to 128 in the southern plains. The 128 would be steady, but the 126 is for 2 or 3 week delivery out front there. And it seems like these feedlots are just so afraid that they're going to be shipping cattle lower whenever this thing really takes a dive. And everybody just has it in their mind that this thing's going to take a dive, and guess what? It probably is. But they would almost rather just keep selling cattle out front, and the last 2 or 3 times they've done that in a significant manner, it's been the wrong choice, because when they got to that week that they wrote the contract for, it's actually higher than what they sold them at. But the Northern Plains traded some cattle at 128 and they were 130 last week. Still not enough trade to really establish a market. Hopefully we can get back up to steady market on the late week sales at the end of the week on Friday. But box beef cutout values continue to be amazingly strong and actually have picked up a little bit of the ground that they lost last week. And it's not the most expensive middle meat cuts, the steaks and loins and things that are pulling it this week. It's your burgers and stuff. And traditionally, when we get close to 4th of July and then the really hot time of year, those cheaper cuts, your burgers, your ground beef, hot dogs and things like that are more popular than what the more expensive steaks are for Memorial Day and Father's Day. Look at some cash feeder cattle sales. El Reno, Oklahoma had 8,600 head on Wednesday. Feeders were $1 to $3 higher. Now that's on top of the 3 to 8 higher they had the previous week, and really a positive sign there on Wednesday. But all your markets were pretty much higher on Wednesday and then started to taper just a little bit on Thursday. Calves had a higher undertone on Wednesday in El Reno. If you look at that OKC West market report out of the Cattle Market Central there, you can see that those feeder cattle and the heavier weights there were $1 to $3 higher. We don't have on the market report there your cattle weighing over 1,000 pounds, but a lot of heavier steers traded this week right there in your Oklahoma and Kansas sales there. Not sure if they still had those cattle out on some hard wheat there, but those cattle will be dying for something, some kind of a ration that's easier for them to eat and digest if they've still been on that hard wheat and it's already bearded out, and they've already started wheat harvest, you know, in Texas, and that wheat's ready to go. But you look at Pratt, Kansas on Thursday there, not too far away, and a typically kind of the same type of market there on Thursday, and you can see that the heavy steers there on the Cattle Market Central Market Report are $2 to $4 lower. Some of your middleweights still pretty strong there and pretty volatile because you're not seeing a whole lot of them. But your cash feeders are starting to taper just a little bit because your guys in your fat trade are starting to weaken already, and it's kind of a bearish signal. But that's 3 minutes, and we'll talk to you next week.